do you think that's a dangerous approach all the same? You know, like you can't turn form on and off like a tap. You've often said that. Everybody said that. Is that not
I
dangerous?
think there is a danger, yeah. We certainly found that in 07. We were highly touted coming off the Six Nations and had a pretty disastrous warm-up run of games, and that led in, unfortunately, into the tournament where against a lesser side in Namibia and Georgia, we got some scares in those games, and that wasn't ideal. And then confidence, obviously, a bit shaken then going into those Argentina and French games in that 07 World Cup. So yeah, it is. It's a delicate balance. You don't want to show too much. You don't want to get any injuries. You want to rest players when you can, but you still want them hitting top form. I'm sure in the Canada game, I would guess he'll play, close to full strength team to create that wave of momentum.
Now you talk about our opening games, Canada and Romania. We are expected to beat them with a bit of style and a wee bit of spur, but it'll all come down, I suppose, any chance of progress, and to avoid the doomed quarter-final against the All Blacks, it'll come down to the match really against France, won't it?
Well, you'd hope so. I'm sure Italy will have something to say about that as well. I think that word momentum's key. I think it's key also that a lot of the squad get game time in those first two games, so they feel part of the whole thing. So that training, nobody's throwing their head down in training. Everybody's buying into the end prize, and that all creates a good atmosphere that obviously then leads to winning matches. And the Italy game won't be a walkover by any stretch, but you'd like to think everything will come down to that last game against the French, and unfortunately the French seem to do very well in World Cups because they're together for a sustained period of time. I think sometimes in Six Nations in November series you don't see the best of them because they don't really gel as a squad. They tend to do that a bit better in World Cups because they have more time together. So although Ireland have had a very good record against France in recent years, they're going to be a very tough ask at the end of that group.
We'll go in and talk about that a wee bit more in depth and come back to Ireland against France, but I'll talk about the other the other home nations, so to speak. You mentioned Italy, obviously, in the Six Nations. They will obviously give it all their best. But when you look at the likes of Scotland, Wales, England, how would you assess their chances?
Well, England at home, I think, have a great chance. They've proved in previous World Cups that even when they're not playing their best, they can still make finals. They've won it in 03. They have the pedigree there and the squad to go all the way, and obviously home field advantage is going to help. I think Wales at 25-1, having lost Halfpenny and Rhys Webb, their scrum half, are still a very good bet. They look very strong in that Irish game, and I wouldn't put it past them making a real run at things. Scotland are ever improving. They've got a good coach and a good way of developing a strong culture there, and obviously trying to play a bit of rugby. Their nucleus of the team is from Glasgow, who have just won the Pro 12, so that will help. The chemistry amongst the team. So all in all, I think Ireland have amongst all the home nations as good a chance as any, but I would probably say England, with that home field advantage, have a chance probably to go all the way.
Right, Ireland, France. We'll go back to that game, which potentially will decide what quarter-final lineup obviously Ireland will get. And of course, we know Ireland have never gone beyond, despite all the hype, despite all the Six Nations, despite all the titles that we would win, we've never gone beyond the quarter-final stage. Yeah. But can we beat France?
Of course, yeah. As history's shown in the last few years, we've had their number and been able to turn them over even away from home. So from that point of view, there'll be no question in the guys' minds that France will be very beatable. They are a different animal in the World Cup, as I said. They have a good record. They got to the final 4 years ago and were unlucky not to win. So from that point of view, it'll be a very tough ask. But I think as long as Ireland stay relatively injury-free and can put out their best team, they will beat France.
Now, if we beat France, then the chances are it's all like a crystal ball here. It could be Argentina, and you would fancy. Look, at this stage, we could probably cut to the chase and say that Ireland, if they beat France, have a massive, massive opportunity to make at least the semi-finals.
Yes, and I think anything less will be a disappointment for this squad.
Will you say
So
it
from
would be a
that-
disappointment for the squad? Would the squad feel they've achieved by reaching the semi-final, or is there more to this squad and more to Joe Smith than that?
I think there still is a wee bit more, but certainly historically we haven't got past the quarterfinals. So from that point of view, it still would be an achievement to make a semi. But you know, who do you find yourself up against in the semi then?
Probably England, isn't it?
Yeah,
At Twickenham.
in Twickenham, the old enemy.
Mm-hmm.
It sets up nicely, doesn't it? And again, over the past few years, you know, Twickenham hasn't been a place that you know, has been a fortress to Ireland, or for England against Ireland. Ireland have always been very competitive, so you know they will. It sets up nicely, and let's hope we can get that far, and it'll make a great day out.
Would it be conceivable that Joe Smith and the likes of Paul O'Connell going into that last test against England would have had that in the back of their heads, that we could be playing these lads in the semi-final here at Twickenham? Let's get a taste of Twickenham again, but let's not show too much.
Probably in the back of their minds, certainly. I mean, I think that's how detailed Joe is. They won't want to have shown much of their hand. Joe's very set piece orientated. He didn't show very much from his set piece, from strike moves off that for the backs or from the forwards, not from line out time. So it was fairly smart. But yes, you're right. It gave him a taste, all the squad of Twickenham. You know, hopefully, whenever, if it comes to that, and Ireland play England at Twickenham, you know, hopefully England will be a bit, will have a bit too much swagger, and will be a bit overconfident, having beaten Ireland in the warm-up games.
I hate talking like that, but it's the way we have to do it, looking at conjecture to the World Cup. Whenever you take a look at the rest of the betting, but New Zealand, clearly, you know, they're the favourites. They're the team to beat. I think they played, I read somewhere, they played 47 tests since they last won the World Cup, and they've won 44 of them. They had defeats to South Africa, Australia and England, and that's it.
It's phenomenal. It's just a
Should have lost Ireland, but that's it.
Yeah, it's you know, it's this winning culture that they have. They want to be the best sporting team in the world, regardless of what shape of ball they play. That's where they set their standards, and everybody buys into that. They're rightfully the favourites, as that record shows. So it'll take them being on an off day usually to be knocked out and their opponent to be playing the game of their lives. So they're rightfully so their favourites.
Now, let's be fair about it, the All Blacks are a great team, but boy, can they live on the edge.
They certainly can.
Yeah, they play to the limits, don't they?
They do indeed, and that's what makes them great. I think, you know, Ireland were unlucky a couple of years ago not to get that monkey off their back. They've never beaten them, neither have Scotland. So hopefully, if Ireland do come across the All Black machine, you know, hopefully they have the performance of their lives in them to turn them over finally.
I hate tempting fate. We were doing an event recently at Carrickfergus. Rugby Club. Brandon Driscoll was the guest of honour.
Oh yeah.
Did a Q&A with him, and he tipped Ireland to make the final and lose to New Zealand. Would you have that optimism or confidence, or does that come from a player who it's easy for him? When he was in the squad, he wouldn't have said that. He said, "Oh, we're going to be struggling against Canada and Romania," but now suddenly we're in the World Cup final.
Well, Brian's worked for years with Joe. He's been around the squad for so long that, you know, there's no better man to predict. But yeah, I mean, if the stars align and things go to plan, we beat France and we get the quarterfinal, and hopefully on our day we'll beat Argentina. You know, we're very capable, and England.
I know,
and you know,
making you very uncomfortable. I know.
You know what? Why not? Why not? We can dare to believe, can't we?
Yeah, well, beat New Zealand as well too. But Alan Quinlan, listen to him. He was on RTE there last week, and his tip for the World Cup. Now everybody, you know, inevitably went for New Zealand. You know, the other two pundits. He went for South Africa.
Right. Well, being a big forward like Alan from Munster, I'm not surprised. You're coming into late October, come the knockout stages as well. So weather-wise, they have a big, strong, experienced pack up front, and the conditions may suit South Africa maybe a wee bit more to their style of play than maybe in New Zealand, who like to play a bit free-flowing rugby. So from that point of view, South Africa wouldn't be a bad tip either.
Interesting, they've almost been dismissed. They're 9-1, the same as Ireland. Australia,
Mhm.
not much talk about them coming into the tournament.
No, I think they've just come off winning the championship down south in the southern hemisphere. So I think Michael Check has turned the culture of that squad around. They're lost steel up front now, and they've just recently beaten the All Blacks. So they're bringing in a few face and experience of Matt Giddo and the like. So they'll I would say be confident, get out of their group handily, and when you get to the knockout stages,